This is the longest this has ever taken. There we go. Hey, we are back, and we got faces. Hi, I'm Bags.
GP.
This is ever taken.
Fellas.
Guys, talk.
Yeah.
You should be on the screen.
Yeah, I gotcha. Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday. Go Knicks.
Oh, so we're doing a little something new. We've stepped out of anonymity a bit here, and we're happy to do it. We're glad to show you our faces. It's Bags, it's GP, it's Nick JFDI. You can expect the podcast the same way you have, except you're going to see us this week and for all the weeks going forward. So, yeah, there you go. That's the big surprise. Everybody gets to meet us for the first time. So, guys, our market.
I suppose GP has had his face on his avatar for quite a while though, haven't you?
Yeah, I haven't been anonymous. I made that decision, I think, 2019, 2020, to say
Sure.
if we're gonna do this for real, it's gotta be fully out there, right? And I think that's part of the journey.
Well, before we get knee deep into everything that the market is doing, let's put these tweets out real quick. We are live and in person.
And while you're doing that, I'll chit chat a little bit. So we have pretty quiet economic week this week. There's not a lot going on. A big CPI report that happens every month is going to happen. The most important CPI report of our time happens again next week, sorry. Every month there's a waiting pattern, holding pattern. So far the market's reacted pretty well off the mini correction here. There's a general lack of volume or interest in the markets the last couple of days, but we're just kind of melting a bit higher, waiting for more economic data, more Fed speakers to talk our ears off, all kinds of stuff that no one cares two shits about. Sorry, pardon the French.
It moves the market though, GP.
Only because it's thin, right? Like this is not it's not like, it's almost like people took a vacation this week because they're like, oh, look at the economic data. There's nothing there. We can't push this around, so we'll do this next week.
So last week we had a nice little move up. Let's go look at the SPY or the Qs rather. Had a nice little move up the last 2 weeks from the April 15th. And we're up again in 2 days in the market now. We're right back at all-time highs. I said a couple weeks ago, the last time we were on, that I was quite frankly expecting a hot summer. I haven't changed my thesis. Guys, how are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. I don't know, kind of like I've said in the past, like I like in the Qs in particular, I like coming off of like a down wave. I like to wait and see price kind of clear that 50% retracement and a hold, and so far we're doing it. That 50% kind of coincided with like the 430, 433, 434 kind of zone in the Qs. But we're back in the 435 to 445 zone now. I think we're just kind of same thing. It'd be nice to kind of see with a snapback, the McClellan, again, what I watch, pushed into an overbought reading, which in uptrends you generally ignore. That being said, I'd still like to see us kind of move sideways, chop around a little bit, and work off that overbought reading before we ultimately head higher. But I'm long and strong, so.
You primarily use the McClellan. How much of the overbought are you looking on that indicator?
Say that again.
How much of the overbought are you looking for to wear off on McClellan? Like what number?
At least back to like a neutral reading. So let's just say like give or take plus minus 25 to 50. I think anything kind of like within that kind of neutral territory, you're either going to see a bounce or at the very least, a bounce, or on the flip side, sell off if you're working off an oversold reading in a downtrend. So that's kind of what it was nice to see when price on the Qs, when price pushed up, like we bounced off of whatever, like kind of that 415. When we pushed up into 430, what bulls would not want to see is the McClellan snap back into a neutral reading where shorts are given the opportunity to kind of reload. We got that. Price kind of pulled off of that, but then we put in a higher low. So it all kind of worked out pretty. As of right now, it's working out fairly pretty.
Well, Kramer called the bottom today, so you might want to watch out.
I saw that. I saw that.
Dude, Kramer calls so much stuff that he's bound to get everything right and wrong at the same time. Like, it's just like he literally talks about 40 stocks a day, right?
At least.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, I love not that you're pushing the narrative. I know you're just poking fun, but I love that people are actually pushing that narrative out there. Well, Kramer said the bottom's in, so we must go test lows.
I mean,
Yeah, there's definitely
you could probably make a short trade for a day.
Yeah, still base it off technicals and not Kramer.
Sorry, that's what we were going to say?
Pardon me?
I thought you were going to chime in with something, Nick. Sorry.
Oh, no. No. I was. I have noticed a major uptick in bearish tweets coming across my timeline. I don't know particularly why that is, but
you're secretly a bear.
Yeah, I saw Kramer. No, definitely not. Definitely not. I was happy to see my Lord Prophet Market God come back to Twitter. Or I guess he's been back for a while. I just didn't know about it, but he was calling for what is his name? I'll pull him up for you. Oh.
Yeah, there's lots of people who've been wrong for a long time. And
yeah. Oh,
go ahead.
No, he was the last tweet that I pinged Will about it, because I know he's been watching the IWM quite a bit, but he was calling for IWM. It was like he was calling for IWM 240, 250 this year and pushing to 300 plus next year, which if that plays out, God, I think it is going to be a hot summer.
I think the problem with that thesis a little bit is that all these crappy companies that are sitting in the small caps index actually stop being crappy companies, right? And if they don't stop being crappy companies, in my opinion, the only way they participate is if money becomes cheaper or free again. And so free, I don't think happens unless there's a massive crisis. And cheaper is possibility because inflation comes down. But I think there's a lot of people who are looking at stocks and they're like, why aren't these participating? Because they see bases and technical reasons for them to move higher. Technical reasons are there for them to move higher, but their fundamentals have to at some point kick in for it to
you need a catalyst.
move higher, right? In this specific environment. You could have argued that you didn't need Jack and you didn't need anything in the 2013 to 2020 phase because money was free. They were willing to put money into the markets, hoping that they can get their unicorns, right? Or their granny shots or whatever you want to call them. You don't have that flexibility now. You have money that pays you while sitting in cash. So companies like, and I'll say it again, Roku, right? Still another earnings, still not profitable. Maybe it's the possibility that they don't know how to go profitable, or their business margins don't allow it, right? And so you're wondering why they're sucking. And it's like, well, dude, the one key objective was to go profitable. On the flip side, look at what Carvana is doing, right? Carvana's focus was cost cutting and profitability. Multiple quarters of profitability, they're hitting their stride, and right into the 200 week, right? So it's going to find some resistance, which typically almost every stock in this base stage formation has hit the 200 week, come back to test the 50 week. So assume that it's going to come down here. It doesn't mean the thesis is broken. It's consolidating after a monster move. But this is what I mean by the fundamentals aligning with the chart. The charts can set up. Let's go back 20 years. Microsoft fundamentals kept improving for the better part of 13 or 14 years, right? From 2000 to 2013 or 14, hits the top of that range at 40, right back down to 20. Goes about 40, right back down to 20, 40, 20. It literally did that for about 13 or 14 years. I know because when it hit 40 something, 42, I actually sold my position because I didn't know any technicals. And then it goes on to 10x from there over the next decade, right? So these charts can set up, but without them executing on the management and fundamental side, you're not gonna get these to break out, not in this environment. So I think people need to reset their expectations, and they're getting reset by these sell-offs on earnings and whatever. But it's interesting to see, right? People are still hoping for that kind of V shape, and you're like, no, you only get rewarded.
Microsoft looks good here, by the way, in my opinion.
What's that?
Microsoft looks good here.
Agreed,
Yeah.
but you go back that 20 years, right? From 2000 when Gates stepped down, how many times did it hit the top of that range?
Months on end.
Yeah. And you're like, wow, they're making more profit. And like, why won't it go? Well, nothing to show that they deserve the multiple increase.
I think for the traders out there, it's probably one of the benefits of just kind of following relative strength, especially if you're managing multiple positions. Like you should like be paying attention to little things, like if we have a strong up move day and like your stocks aren't participating, fucking dump them. Like move your money into what's working and like continue to rotate your money where it's working. If you're following the relative strength and continually scanning, your money is going to naturally find itself in the best place to be. I mean, take that with a grain of salt. I mean, to a degree, you're going to have to be patient in some names, but again, like, Tesla, for instance, like it's been doing nothing. Like, why not move your money into something that's actually working? Or, I mean, if you caught the gap
It's been doing more than
you might as
nothing.
well.
It's been causing a lot of pain and consternation.
For sure. Like, we don't get point. I mean, you're not, you don't, there's no medal or badge or points for loyalty in this game. I don't think. It's either paying you or it's not. So
Not necessarily. Dude, if you're a Tesla shareholder from any time before 2019, you're still sitting on 10x.
I'm not disagreeing with
Well,
that at
most
all.
people, traders
If
can't
that's the
get
case,
10x
like,
in 5 years on their accounts, right?
sure.
Like
And
most traders
then,
can't do
yeah,
that.
if you're right, if you're a holder, then you're a holder. Like, yeah, you've got probably a great cost basis. I'm talking more, for the more active traders.
Yeah, but you can be both, right? You can be investor and trader. So you can be
Totally.
frustrated as an investor, but doing decent as a trader.
Yeah, totally. Totally.
So, like, I think Tesla, for as long as I've known it, has been the destroyer of anyone who has opinions, right? On it. If you think it's going
Yeah.
higher, it's going to destroy you the other way. If you think it's going lower, it's going to destroy you the other way. It is literally what it's done. And it has multiple 50 to 60% moves up and down constantly. I know it's a mega cap. I know it's a huge market cap now. It has been doing it for as long as it's been around.
Did I see something about Buffett considering getting
No, man,
involved?
it's the same rumor when we get down here. Buffett's going to invest. No, this guy barely gets out of Pepsi. You think he's going to put into. He sold Apple, not
Coke.
Pepsi. He sold
Coke.
Apple. Coke,
Yeah.
sorry, Coke.
Get it right.
My bad. But like literally, he sold out Apple and not Coke, right? He's held Coke for 50 years, Apple for like 5 years, and he's like, nah, Apple's too much for me. I'm out.
Yeah. He's got to find something to replace Apple with, I think.
It's not going to be Tesla. It's going to be Occidental, right? Like it's not his jam. Like unless he passes tomorrow and all his subordinates who are also in their 80s pass tomorrow, like, and you have a bunch of like 40-year-olds coming in to take care of Berkshire Hathaway, most likely is not going to happen. I know it's the faithful hoping that it's a smart bet in my opinion from him if he's hedging Geico, their
Yeah.
biggest business, to take a position in their competitor. Um, I think it would be smart, but that's not how he does business. He'll just stay in cash, which he has
Yeah.
$200 billion and generates $10 billion in interest a year. He'll be fine.
Well, we can hope.
You can ask Duzio, man. The Buffett rumor has been going on for a decade.
Sure. Okay.
He didn't invest at 30.
I don't know. I just saw some tweets. I didn't know if that was something relevant or new or not.
No, just hopeful. He mentioned Tesla. He must want to invest. What? What's your logic?
Sure.
Well, bringing this full circle back to smaller caps, Vince is asking about Palantir, which just reporting a stellar earnings, but got hit with a huge down day, gap down today, 15%. I kind of like Palantir down here. This would be the top of my range box that I drew oh so long ago. So I like the low 20s myself, and I have some orders set. So I'm a buyer down here. What do you guys think?
So just without even paying attention to anything, earnings, whatever, today's volume was less than yesterday's volume. That tells you all you need to know about what this move is, right? Like, give it a few days. If you even get a few days, honestly, give it a few days. It's a check back to a supply zone. I think if it holds, like you said, between this 20, we've talked about this a few times, right?
Yep.
20 to 21 area, as long as it kind of holds, you'll be fine. Makes a new low, like that pivot low is what, I don't know the number, but it's right around 20.
Yeah, it's just giving you another chance from the 4 weeks ago, the low it had 4 weeks ago. And I like it here. I don't think you have such a beat like they had if business is bad.
A terrible trader though. It has been always.
Yeah, this is not a trade. This is just a buy and throw some money in it.
Yeah.
Nick, you have
Yeah,
opinions on Palantir?
I had a position in it. I dumped it this morning at 22. I just wasn't willing to let a green trade go red. And I considered it a breakout failure off that move, basically on that bust higher yesterday and then into today. But same with you, Bags. I have orders down at 20 even.
Yep.
I thought based on the move today, we could see a flush down there, like closer to the 200 day. I know a lot of people, like bears, are probably thinking they get that gap fill. down at like 16 or 17, whatever that's at. I could see that happening. But I think the risk reward versus like the 19 to 20 is pretty favorable. I'm looking largely at the last EPS candle or that last gap up. That's probably like the one of the biggest volume bars on the daily chart. And so where I think we're actually gravitating towards is the low of that candle, which is what, like 1981. So just call it 20.
Yep.
I'd be surprised if it got there, Nick. Like we had all the opportunity in the
I
world to get there before.
for
So
sure.
you're also sitting right at the 20-week moving average, which is 2134. So you just got to see. I'd be surprised. I'm not saying it can't happen, but it's currently it's an outside week. It's a bearish engulfing week. That volume is suspect to me on today. It felt like it was trying to push higher in the morning, and then like call sellers came in like hardcore and pushed it down. If you're looking at the flow.
Brian says he's looking
Yeah.
at 17-ish. I buy in tranches. So my first order is just under 21. I'm not going to wait to 20 just in case I don't get it. But if it does, I have some dry powder to add lower. I don't want it to go too much lower if I'm buying in at 21. But I'm like you, Nick. I think we're getting somewhere around that $20 mark. And if it comes around this 50 week, that's close to my buy down there, 1847. That's pretty close to my buy in that area. I don't think we're going down to the bottom of this range at all. But that's just
Like
my
the four. Yeah. I don't either. At least as of right now. If for whatever reason the market decided to roll hard, I could see the weakness continuing. So I think a lot of it will just kind of depend on overall market conditions, market direction from here, and how we kind of like how the indices kind of move from here, how we base. Because I do think we're going to see a few days.
I
Few
will
days
be
of chop.
buying more in the teens than I'm
Yeah,
buying at 21. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
yeah. It's basic. Yeah, it's held the 200 day all the way up since it kind of broke out above 10.
So there you go. Vince, hope that helps. Vince said he bought some today. He loves all the report that came out on ER, and I don't disagree. It was a fantastic report.
Yeah, Randy said he bought some this morning too.
Randy, where is Randy? He didn't set up the tables and get the cookies ready and
Yeah, he's not. He said he needed a nap. He probably fell asleep.
What's the love for Palantir? People have loved this dog. I just don't see the draw.
There's a lot of yeah, same. There's a lot of kind of growth O'Neill Market Smith styled traders that are like yeah, that are kind of
So
obsessively
so it's a twin brother of
obsessed
Snow.
with it.
No, I
It's what?
mean,
It's
I
like the twin brother. Everyone loves Snow, yet people are like, why
Oh,
isn't it going up? Because it's doesn't make any sense.
I think everyone sees all the things that Palantir's in, especially for governments around the world, and that is a bit of security to buy. Just in my 2 cents. I mean, obviously it's a meme stock, so you gotta be wary of that to some degree. I don't know if meme is the right way to put it, but it's definitely well liked by retail.
Yeah, and it's part of that 2021 SPAC space, right? Like all those IPOs that came. It's mixed
yeah.
in that group.
And we all know by this time GP completely hates any SPAC or any IPO that's not, full maturity 20 years later. Like we know we've heard this song and
Do
dance
me a
before.
favor. Do me a favor. Bring up GFS if you want to see miserable IPO syndrome.
Well, we can talk about it since Randy's not here.
Throw this on the monthly. How great did that monthly look when we were talking about it? Yet, boom, boom,
God.
nothing, nada. Jack and more Jack. This is known as IPO syndrome. Look at Roblox. Look at it, SOFI. Look at everything.
Speaking of Roblox, I kind of like how Roblox is starting to shape. I mean, obviously my alerts are like I kind of tweeted up today. My alerts are still set at 48, but
Because they need
I
to be
like on a monthly
profitable.
here how it's
They are not
okay.
profitable. They will meet this doom over and over again. Top of the range, bottom of the range, top of the range, bottom of the range, until they show profitability and then they show that they can replicate it and then grow. This is going to be part of the structure for a while. When I first bought Roblox, I said, set it, forget it, think about it in 5 years, right? And that's
Sounds good.
Set
exactly
it
what's
and
going to
forget
happen.
it, Ron Popeil.
It's an IPO name. I knew it was going to be miserable for a long time.
What do you think of ARM being an IPO name?
Yeah, same thing, dude. It's just, like I'm
I,
not messing with this crap. Like
I
IPO names are good for initial trades, and then once the initial trades wear off, like that move higher from the IPOs, it's usually around like a double or triple or whatever. They never return back until they start executing at like a much higher pace. You can see it
was gonna say
in
for whatever ARM is like hardcore reminding me of Roblox, how Roblox kind of topped out and rolled.
yeah. That's all IP like the IPO structures are almost identical across the
Yeah.
board. Like if you bring up Twitter, can you bring up the Twitter chart?
I don't
Holy
know. Let's see.
shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at the Twitter IPO chart. Go on the monthly. Right? You had that 1 or 2 months of like boom, 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 and then never came back, right? And then they had to be sold for less than what they IPO'd at. So um this is like the ones that are the ones that are IPOing and going to be around for a long time give you opportunities in base for maybe 12 to 18 months. Google, Facebook, um, Apple, all these names across the board, and then they don't give you an opportunity again, right? And the ones that are still trying to figure it out, base for a long time until they figure it out. Here's another IPO, NTNX.
Yeah.
Looks awesome
Nutanix.
now. Looks awesome now, but look how long it took. That initial IPO wave up, and then, oh God, like, what are we doing here? What are we doing? Oh, finally back to normal. And it's 7 years since an IPO.
Sure.
Anchors brings up Beyond Meat.
Exactly, garbage. Even though I thought it was going to be great, it did not work because the monetary shift happened.
Don't they have earnings, or did they have earnings already?
They did.
They already had earnings, yeah. No, it's tomorrow. It's
That's
tomorrow.
tomorrow.
It's tomorrow.
Yeah, expect it to die.
That's the shining beacon of positivity I love to hear from a Knicks fan.
Dude, this management hasn't been able to figure out what they need to do to accelerate their growth, and they just haven't done it. Like they come out with Beyond Meat 2.0, 2.1, 2.3, 3.0, and I'm like, maybe it's just not what anyone wants anymore. Maybe you need to shift. Monster volume candle last earnings though.
How about Peloton? What's Peloton up to? Nothing. We're going through all these darling names that
Let's not be depressed.
Going back to Google, man, Google's looking fantastic.
mega caps, mega
Yeah.
caps, mega caps, and mega caps, and mega caps.
Google, fun fact, the only one that did not break its one of the few that did not break its IPO lows. Never even tested it. Didn't even come back to it. Off to the races. I had just graduated college. I wish I had money then.
Yeah, no kidding.
That would have been a no-brainer.
Facebook was a no-brainer too,
It only took a 60% haircut first.
but it was a no-brainer.
Yes. If you Yeah, I remember buying at like 12 or 13, no, 14, and then being so happy I was selling it at 45 or 50.
Anchors want CNM, core and main. There's you an IPO GP.
Oh.
It's gonna come back down. Sorry.
This fucking guy.
Dude,
That's a pretty
do you see
breakout
that
though. I
monster
like it.
sell volume? Like, am I the only one missing that?
Yeah, that's big.
In November.
Yeah. It's coming back to that area at some point. It was
What is
back to back.
CNM?
It was back to back days of monster sell volume, and it's been going up on nothing.
It's going up on something.
Yeah,
I don't know,
traffic.
man. Yeah, everyone needs it. Distributes water, sewer, storm drain, fire protection products and services. Yeah.
Monthly looks better than the weekly. All right, you might be okay. Still think it's IPO, so it's coming back, but we'll see.
I just can't with you some nights, GP.
Hey, dude, IPOs are such a a energy suck on your soul. They usually take forever, and that's from speaking from experience, which is why I try to talk about it quite often. It's just not worth the headache to me. But then you can probably say that about a lot of stocks. Tesla's not worth the headache either.
I mean, I've pretty much ridden net from the beginning, and it's not been too bad of a headache.
Net from the beginning?
Yeah, pretty much.
Is that one of the few that never touched? No, it IPO low. Hold on.
Yeah, it went below its IPO.
Yeah. But how long did it base?
Not long.
6 months, 4 months.
Yeah, just a few months.
Yeah.
I mean, that
Oh, it's
IPO'd right as
struggling
we were
now, though.
starting to break out in 2019. Yeah.
Well, GP, there's a lot of things struggling, and I wish I just had the magic flute to play to just call the stocks like the Pied Piper and just have all the right ones all the time. But
No. I'm just curious on like what happened. Like I see a big red bar. I don't pay attention to that much.
I don't know.
It looked like really good holding that 10-week moving average, and I just saw it big red bar down. Oh, earnings.
Datadog
Earnings.
had
Okay.
a pretty good day.
Earnings is what
Okay.
happened. Earnings
Yep,
happened.
yep. No explanation necessary, just earnings nonsense.
60-30-20 rule, 60-30-10 rule is always in place for earnings plays.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. What happened to everyone's beloved CPNG?
CRPG, Core Bridge
It
Finance.
got hit by like a buck, I think. After it's down about $1 after hours, I think.
Coupang?
Yeah.
I mean, that's another one of your kind of IPO names. I'd love an opportunity at like 2020, 2050 if I can get it.
This is a Drunken Miller name, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You always want to buy any this on the weakness because he just knocks it out of the park.
Yeah.
Like this is one where I was like, nah, I don't think I want any stops if I was going long because it's a Drunken Miller. And he's heavy long too, right?
Yep.
I think it's one of his biggest positions.
Yeah. He's just insane. His abilities are insane.
Netflix is looking phenomenal.
Dude.
Thinking about the mega caps back up real quick, like I think they're getting ready to bust another move higher. Like Amazon, for instance, you'd think that as we tested all-time highs, that we would have pulled in a little bit harder or a little bit longer than we have, and we barely pulled into the 30-week moving average. basically it was just a nice spike under the 50-day, and that was about it.
Yeah.
Google's the strength is there. Netflix, I mean, that in Netflix, that basically was more or less bought up immediately off of that gap down.
The earnings gap down was stupid. It was just to gather more buyers,
Yeah.
right? Like that, like I
Yeah.
talked about that for a while. Like it can't go higher, so it's to go lower to gather more buyers to push higher. The only problem I have with Netflix is that it's quite overbought in the last 5 days, yet the move is only 10%, right? And it hasn't even
Sure.
closed the gap. So that's my issue with Netflix. This is something that would have done 20 to 25% in 2 to 3 days on something like this, especially as it pulled into the gap. It would have filled that gap like that. And now it's
Sure.
just grinding and grinding. So the way I look at it, there's two ways out of this one for Netflix. Is it gaps over 639 tomorrow and just goes, or it fails miserably before it even hits the gap. And knowing Netflix, it usually fails before it hits anything. So this is day-to-day trading,
saying
right?
failing what? Sure. Like
So
as
the
in
gap from
pulling back
earnings
to like
is
kind of
1056 on earnings, right?
yeah.
And for as strong as this move has been, 2 days in this gap, yet it closed over the 50 today, and it still could not fill that gap at 610.56. So, like, yes, buyers have stepped in, but how come buyers haven't stepped in through that gap, right? Is my first question, right? We talked about this with Lamb Research back in 2022. It's like, if you're going to be strong, you're going to be strong and push through pivots.
You think Disney weighed on it at all?
No, Disney's sell-off was the dumbest thing on the planet. I'm sorry, like that was an annoying one for me. But right back to the bottom of the base, right? Like their streaming just went profitable, I believe.
I'd imagine they're partnering with Hulu's got to be a good thing. It kind of like broadens out their content.
Well, they bought the rest of Hulu from Comcast.
Okay.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, I think the move down in Disney was stupid today, but it needs buyers, right? And for you to have a move higher, it's got to gather buyers. So you're coming back and retesting zones. This is general consolidation. It was just a stupid day, ultimately.
Just an idea.
Yep.
Just an idea.
It's the 200 week, right? Like almost everything close to the 200, tag 200, and right back down to the 50. XPI is doing it. Shop did it. Literally across the board, right?
This is not financial advice.
Oh, Shop's looking good. I haven't pulled up Shop in a while.
But same, dude, it rejected the weekly 200 right into the 50, and now looks like it's going to push earnings this week.
Yeah.
Gap above the 200 week.
I hope so. I hope these things gap out, but they need to have the earnings to show it, right? That's what you need for that gap. So
Randy said he bought some Palantir. Oh yeah, you told us that already, Nick.
Yeah.
I got you, Randy.
Good looking. Good looking out. What else do we like?
I
think biotechs are looking interesting.
I was going to say biotech, and I was going to say like the food stocks.
I think they're on the verge of topping out, right? Like Texas Roadhouse, Wing, CMG, all those. They're on their final legs, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Can they grind higher? Yes, they can grind higher, but I think they're close to the end of the move. Right. And so like the other thing
Probably the IPO is going to blow off here and then roll over hard.
Yeah. So like the thing that I've noticed is like stuff that I was talking about in distribution, like XLE and some of the names like Humana, they're finally starting to distribute out. Like if you pull up Hum, right?
Uh,
This was a monster distribution at the top, and it finally gave out. I think I posted this distribution top in August of 2022 or 2023 or whatever. And it's taken almost a year, right? Over a little over a
Man,
year.
damn.
But these setups in some of the energy names like XOM is one I just posted as well, are very similar to how the tech ones looked, right? Like base, final push up on marginal new highs and then reject, right? And XLE the same thing, right? That level I was talking about, that 94.71, it cleared it immediately. Weakness started showing up, and then it broke back below it. So it's like this. It like we saw a lot of the tech charts, right? Like if you look at Amazon chart, it went sideways like this for a while, and then the last final push up there rejected, and then finally begins the deceleration. What do you guys think? Like that, like if you're looking at the energy names or like the health insurance names and stuff like that.
I've never liked
I
either.
don't know. Yeah, I'm I'm God one of the got to be one of the world's worst commodity traders. Like as much as I think the XLE I think it looks fantastic. I just think it's like retesting the kind of the breakout, but kind of to your point earlier with like, you know, relative strength. You would have thought when XLE busted above 93.50, it would have fucking ripped. And instead, it kind of popped and it's just kind of fizzling out. And I don't know if that's just, again, how these names kind of trade or energy names kind of trade, but I don't know. I find it incredibly difficult to trade them.
No, I'm
There
not
are
saying
some
trade
out
them. It's
there
more
that
of
look
a thought process on like how they look. They
sure.
look to me, they look a lot like the distribution kind of blow off move before it slowly sells off. The volume never picks up, and then it's down like 40%, and then the volume starts to pick up. Like we talked about with Roku, right? Roku was down
Yeah.
200 points before any volume showed up to the downside, and now it's been sitting at 60 for like 2 years now. So I'm just wondering if you guys think the same or if I'm just seeing things.
Um, the only thing I would argue is, looking at the monthly on the XLE, we had strong volume off the lows and on that route that the rip higher into highs.
Yeah, but look at that candle.
And what I would have considered last month is a breakout failure. So my first thought would be price is going to revert back to the low to mid 70s. But if it holds kind of above that 88, 89, maybe not so much.
Yeah, what Bags is showing
So
right here is one of the bigger reasons why I think it comes in. You see that 50-200 monthly cross there? When that
yeah,
usually sets up, you get a pull into that before it crosses
okay.
or close to that. So that's another reason why I don't think this is a long-term top. I think that there's distribution going to
Just
be happening here. And while that 50 curls over the 200 day, the sector pulls in, and it's probably going to be a great buying opportunity, in my opinion.
Well, I mean,
yeah, I can see that.
you basically got volume declining from
Yeah.
January of 22 to now. So 2.5 years, you're going on declining volume but higher prices. So I've been a terrible energy trader. I haven't liked the health insurance space for quite some time. So I'm not the one to take this trade based on what I'm saying, but it's not something that I like here at all.
Yeah, I don't actually have a position. I was just wondering what my technical friends thought.
Yeah, don't like it.
Because I've been seeing this pattern for like a year and it just refuses to do anything but this. So I'm like, damn it, just die already.
On a personal note, Randy wants to know if you're at the gym, GP.
Me?
Yep.
No, why?
I don't know. He just asked if you're at the gym.
No,
The basketball court.
no, there's a gym behind me, but that's also my
The
office and my,
Knickerbockers.
yes.
What a
No,
what
representing the Knicks.
Give no shits wants to know about Moo, which is agribusiness ETF. I can't say that I've ever looked at this chart before.
I have not.
Not for me.
It's a
Yeah,
thin.
I'd wait for the yeah.
Not my cup of tea.
What's the trading volume? It's a very, very thin name.
301,000 shares were traded so far this month.
Yes, 38,000 today. No thanks.
I mean, it definitely is wedging. That that being said, the bottom can always fall out of a wedge, and then it really collapses. So it's not something I would get involved in either. But if it breaks out of the wedge to the upside, not my kind of name, but might be worth it, I guess. What's oh, I guess I used to.
How's that gold trade looking?
Interestingly, I think gold's setting up for another leg higher, and some of the miners are actually looking good.
It does. It does look pretty
like
good.
like RGLD is probably my favorite one that's set up right now. I like the
I
big
think
base, and I
KGC
like
looks
kind of
good.
yeah, it does. KGC, there was one other one that I was looking at earlier today too. I can't remember what
Barrick?
it
No,
was.
Barrick doesn't look as good as the other. You say KGC,
Oh,
Ken Ross?
Yeah. Yeah.
It looks about the same as Barrick. Looks a little better than Barrick.
IAG was the other one I was looking at.
IAG.
Yeah.
I am gold.
Oh boy.
It looked similar to on the daily, it looked very similar to KGC. If I was gonna trade them, RGLD would be the one that I'd go after right now, though. Just me personally.
What was the first
You have to
one?
be quick with all this stuff.
Yeah.
It doesn't last forever, the gold stuff, right? Like the moves are pretty quick.
Anchor said deer is the biggest holding in Moo, and Randy likes deer, so we need
Ah,
deer.
yeah. I threw a starter on Deer and Tractor Supply Co. Randallay, as you know.
Well, I'm out
Oh,
here in
wait,
the country,
Tractor
and my
Supply is a
tractor.
public company?
Yes, Tractor Supply is a
Yeah.
public company. TSCO.
Oh, I
TSCO.
just bought some horse stall mats from them, so buy the stock.
Dude, my Tractor Supply is crazy. Like it is always packed.
It's not the case here in Jersey for sure.
They
That's
are turning big numbers here.
interesting. I had to drive like an hour to get to mine.
So if John Deere breaks out, then would that be bullish for the move? Then I would assume. Yeah, I would assume. But I like.
Yeah, it's
Anchor says
only
8% of
8%.
Moo is deer is only 8% of Moo. So I mean it'll move it, but it's still got a lot of other things weighing it down.
Yeah, it's like Kathy's portfolio. 8% is coin. Like every one of her stocks rotates of going up, so the ETF goes nowhere.
Do we want to talk about coin?
No, yes, maybe.
Sounds like
Uh,
crypto's in for a ordeal.
an ordeal.
Um, I mean, isn't what was the news like? all of the alts, like they're going after Robinhood, and it sounds like they're gonna have to delist a whole bunch of the kind of like smaller altcoins, is what the headline that I read.
I didn't see that headline.
Let me see if I can find it.
Only
It's on Twitter
Robinhood
somewhere.
or only public companies?
I would imagine Robinhood and probably Coin shortly thereafter, but I
Yeah,
guess we'll see how
SEC
it plays
targets
out.
Robinhood for regulatory breaches. So
Yeah.
when SoFi got its bank charter, they pretty much had to stop allowing you to buy crypto as part of that bank charter business. So
Robinhood
yeah,
already has it as separate though. It's a separate, completely separate part of their
I'm
business.
sorry, SoFi?
Robinhood
Oh no, Robinhood.
is separate
Or
business, is what I'm
there,
saying.
there, there is a Robinhood wallet, but as far you can still trade it all on the same platform.
Oh, it can be on the same. So it's on the same platform, but you actually get two different statements from different brokerage houses.
Yeah. I don't know. They got a Wells notice, so
I
it's
mean,
a
well, I guess
recommended
ultimately,
enforcement action. So they got a delist Solana last year.
They'll do what they have to. This is right before earnings. This is hilarious.
I mean, ultimately it would be bullish for Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin. I think there's a couple of others that, right?
It's
Good.
bullish hood,
They,
right?
they they have earnings tomorrow.
Robinhood
Yeah,
does?
Yep.
yeah. It's bullish for hood, no matter how you see it, in my opinion.
Well,
Yeah.
Ethereum's probably going to be listed on an ETF here soon, Nick. So, um, yeah, I mean, I think there's always going to be winners and losers in every market, and I definitely think that there's some losers in the altcoin space. But uh, I think the ticking time bomb that's Tether is probably a greater risk to crypto than SEC regulations on Robinhood.
Yeah.
So
I don't see how it would hurt Coinbase more than it would Robinhood. Coinbase does a lot more alts. Robinhood's already restricted to like only 5 or 10 alts anyway. They're like,
Yeah. Yeah.
so it's not
I
a
don't
big,
even think I could buy it.
but I don't see how that's a problem. If it's the bad actors, they'll just stop doing it, right?
Sure.
I'm still waiting for Robinhood to add futures trading. Then it goes nuts.
well, I saw what was it late last week or early last week one that they're talking about having 24/7 market. Somebody posted that, either the New York Stock
Yes.
Exchange or
Yeah.
someone.
Yes. Can we just do futures first?
Exactly.
That is a 24/7 market.
Exactly. Exactly.
So you want to go through our picks?
Yeah, sure. We can do that.
Yes.
Stonk picks, Tesla bags, just eating a whole big old pile of nothing good. We're gonna go to Moderna next. That's Nick's pick. Actually, it's up a little bit.
I
Moderna was a pick at 111.60, so you're up $10 there, Nicholas. And then
What was the
GP,
Tesla pick at?
I put Tesla's up first,
I know. I said, what did we say go long at what price?
176.88. So
Nice. You're up 50.
you're a dollar to the good, baby.
We should have just waited like 2 more weeks and you would have been sitting
It
pretty.
would have been a great bottom tick, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
And GP, he's going to start wringing his hands already at JD. which he would have had the purchase at $26.70. So you're about $6.
Damn. Nice.
Yeah.
Pretty good little rip.
Yeah, let's get that 57 because that's where it needs to get to.
Schwab reduced settlement time to T+1, and Randy also let us know that he picked up some Moderna. All right, so there you go. Anchors wants to know, what do we think of Dixie? I can tell you what GP thinks of Dixie. It's no correlation to the
None.
rest of the market.
Absolutely none.
Is that accurate?
Yes.
Speaking for you, I still think that we're in this. We're above this zone that I marked. I don't know how many ages ago it seems. So it's holding here. It's held here. It's holding all the moving averages. Dixie could go higher. I wouldn't be surprised to see it go higher, and I also wouldn't be surprised to see it fail here either.
It's gonna fail.
Yeah, it's
Just
probably gonna fail.
it looks exactly like the candle from the first week of November, 2023.
You got
You saw that big red candle down and
higher
then
high,
yep.
lower high, lower high.
Yep. So I don't know if it's gonna fail to anything that matters because they keep buying this shit up. But I don't even actually know who's buying it, but the dollar keeps getting run up, right? Or whatever the forex traders are, they are not letting it come down in any real capacity. And it could be just setting up for a breakout, but so far lower highs. So until that changes, the bias is to the downside.
Hey GP, I just saw a tweet from Shams, and Mitchell Robinson has a stress fracture in his foot and is out 6 to 8 weeks. So there you go.
Oh, I know he's out for game two. So
Now he's out longer than that.
oh well, the Knicks, goodness, man, they just keep, yeah.
USD JPY. That looks toppy, anchors. I agree with that. That looks pretty toppy to me. I'll buy that. I mean, I'll
Yeah.
buy looks toppy is what I'll buy. I won't buy
So
it.
if that looks toppy, that means the dollar is going further down, right?
Yep.
Question is will there now be a correlation to how stocks behave? And that, my answer, friends, is probably not.
Do you think that looks toppy?
I thought it looked toppy like 2 years ago, and then I came back and did this. So. I am not a forex trader. I am not a commodities trader. These things are just miserable, right? In the way they act. But yeah, so technically it looked really toppy and weak or was it 2 years ago? 2 years ago. And then it came back and pushed through that again, and it looks toppy again. And we shall see. I don't even pay attention to it anymore because it's just noise.
We'll know when we know.
Yeah.
Wow, this was a guns blazing fast and furious hour.
Yes.
Brian, hi Brian. He says Forex is impossible. I don't disagree.
Yeah, there's no. It's every. I took a class by a guy who was like I don't know, he was some market maker, and God, the sound of these like forex brokers, it just sounds so fucking dirty that I've never taken an interest in it or considered trading it.
You also need hell of capital, right? Because it can destroy you. You're
Yeah.
talking about like 0.001 moves of like $1,000, right? Like these aren't for the faint of heart. So when you see a forex move like 1% in a day, that's monstrous.
His go-to trade, if I remember right, was what he called stop hunting. So he would like he would day trade and basically put in buy and sell orders where most real short-term traders would have like a logical stop. Uh yeah, it sounds like a really dirty, like a really like I have no interest in it.
It's the whole market, man. They're stop hunting. They're doing like literally give me like any reason why if let's take Netflix for example. Why was this sold off earnings and why is it back to where it was sold? There's like literally no reason besides
Yeah, but I
stop hunting.
highly doubt if you have like let's say you have a Charles Schwab account with like let's say $500,000 in it or $1 million in it. I
Yeah.
don't think Charles Schwab has a board with like everyone's account numbers and account balances, and they're literally just trying to fuck you. Whereas
No,
like
definitely not that.
where
But
these
I would be
forex
surprised
brokers
if they did.
do, sure, yeah,
No, it's
yeah,
not people with $500,000. It's people with like $1,000. Like they're trying to take everyone with
sure.
less than $10,000 money. Like they have that board up there.
Yeah, like, and I wouldn't be like the so what when all this stuff we talk about all this stuff, right? Like about the markets and like the stuff that they do. It's like, can you tell me in this day and age, outside of the T settlements, which is now changing, how come we don't have full visibility in options, right? Like, why don't we know everything we need to know about all in a market that's driven quite often by flow? Why don't we have the transparency on what's going on? Why are things coming above ask? Why are these things happening? Until we get transparency on that market, we will know that it will always be crush the retail game, right? It's just what it is.
For sure. Yeah.
Right?
I
Like
mean,
there's all these services
it's a,
designed to
I,
design to help you understand flow when they could just tell you what the flow is.
I think kind of that conversation we had a while back. I think if there's one thing I've taken from like that crabby grandpa dude is that like the market is designed to take it's not designed for the short-term trader, the swing trader. Like it's designed to take our money. It rewards the long-term holders and especially those tied to the indices. Because I think in the individual names, it's just a continual boom and bust.
I'm
But
in two minds about that stuff, and we can probably talk for hours
yeah,
about it, Nick. So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
maybe on a dedicated podcast or some other content that we can release to the world later.
Yes. All right, guys, we're at time.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for jumping in.
Just a quick comment. If you guys who are listening have anything you guys want to discuss for next week, we'd like to get this more structured moving forward in terms of having stuff that you guys want to talk about and go through, like concepts and stuff. It would be great. Otherwise, watch for an agenda that comes out. We're gonna try to stick to topics moving forward and have a structure around what we're going to be talking about. So you have something to look forward to as well, and we have something to prepare for.
DM us, public reply us, right?
Yep.
Like we're open. We have we're accessible. So just let us know. All right, guys. Thanks
So
for
Nick,
everybody for joining. GP, Nick, always a pleasure, gentlemen.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
thanks for